Hey everybody, Jim here with another video for you. This is a tag response video from my good friend Kenny over at Kenny's Movie Palace, and this is my 10 favorite movies of the 70s. But before I begin, at the end of this video, if you like what you see, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, please leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about the films that I included. Let me know what your favorite films from this incredible decade in film is. Now, as I said, my good friend Kenny, one of my co-hosts over at Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim, tagged me in this video. He was originally tagged from the lovely Jodie from Jodie's movies realm over in Ireland, and Kenny decided to tag me. So before we begin my list, I am going to tag some of my favorite European friends. I am going to tag Carlos at Eastwood for Life Fan, Dan at Memories of a Movie Fan, and Jeff at 101 Bronson. And I will leave links to all of their channels below, as well as Kenny's and Jodie's. So anyways, the idea here was to come up with 10 films from the decade of the 70s that we would constitute as our favorite. And I want to specify, when I say favorite, I mean favorite. I don't mean best, because there are quite a few of all-time classics that are not on my list. And again, it doesn't mean that I don't love those films. It just means that we went with favorites, not overall best. So I think my list is going to be a little more eclectic than some of the other ones that are going around. But that's neither here nor there. That's what makes these things so much fun. Before I begin my top 10, I do have 5 honorable mentions, and I put these in alphabetical order. So my honorable mentions are, from 1979, Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. From 1974, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, starring Warren Oates. This one is directed by the great Sam Peckinpah. Capricorn 1, released in 1978, starring Elliot Gould, James Brolin, Sam Waterston, Hal Holbrook, and directed and written by Peter Hyams, one of my favorite conspiracy thrillers of all time. I love this movie so much. Next, from 1971, I believe. Yes, 1971, directed by the legendary Don Siegel and starring Clint Eastwood, the first in the series, Dirty Harry. I almost put Magnum Force down because I love both of them equally. But let's face it, Dirty Harry is the more iconic of the two. And the last honorable mention, and this one damn near made the top 10. I adore this movie. From 1978, directed by Daryl Duke, The Silent Partner, starring Elliot Gould, Susanna York, and in one of the best performances in his career, Christopher Plummer. If you've never seen this movie, I cannot recommend it enough. Track this movie down. It is fantastic. Okay, that's it for the honorable mentions. Let's get down to the top 10. Now, again, I want to stress, this has nothing to do with quality of film. This is strictly about my personal preferences of film. And I'm sure my list is going to be a lot different than yours. But again, like I said earlier, that's what makes this whole thing so much fun. So, starting with number 10, from 1979, directed by the legendary Walter Hill, we're going with The Warriors, starring Michael Beck and James Remar, among others. This movie was a sensation when it came out originally. It actually got yanked from the theaters because of all the fights breaking out and stuff, and has just become a classic. It is highly dated. It was dated at the time, but it doesn't matter. I adore every frame of this movie. The soundtrack is second to none. Number 9, from 1978, my all-time favorite Vietnam movie. And no, I ain't talking about The Deer Hunter. I'm talking about The Boys in Company C, starring Stan Shaw, Andrew Stevens, and the wonderful R. Lee Ermey, a decade before Full Metal Jacket. This movie was directed by Sidney J. Furie of Iron Eagle fame. This movie is very similar in plot to Full Metal Jacket. It's basically 2 movies. You start off the first half of the movie, you're in basic training with these guys, and R. Lee Ermey is their drill instructor. The second half of the movie, they go over to Vietnam. and then it kind of turns into MASH. This movie's got some, it's more comedic in tone than most Vietnam movies. That's not to say that there aren't heartbreaking moments. And like I said, to me, this is my favorite Vietnam movie. It's not the best, okay? It's just something that's always been very near and dear to my heart. So, number 9 on my list is The Boys in Company C. Number 8. Man, this movie fucked me up when I was a kid, but oh my God, I love it so much. From 1978. 1978 had some bangers. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Starring Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, Leonard Nimoy, Jeff Goldblum, and the incredible Veronica Cartwright, who doesn't get as much love as she deserves. This one is directed by Philip Kaufman, and this is a remake of the original one from the 50s. And this movie has been remade several times since. This is the best version, period, in my eyes. It's got one of the greatest endings of all time. Just thinking about that ending now is making the hair on the back of my neck stand up, as always. I love this movie. And like I said, I saw this theatrically as an 11-year-old. This movie was PG. And my God, did it fuck me up. Between Donald Sutherland taking out his own clone with a shovel to, like I said, that ending. It is just an all-timer. So number 8, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Number 7, from 1978 again. And this one also has Donald Sutherland in it. And this was the first R-rated movie I ever saw. And when I'm talking about National Lampoon's Animal House, starring John Belushi, Tim Thomerson, and others. Karen Allen, of course. Directed by John Landis. And like I said, this was the first R-rated movie I ever saw. A lot of nostalgic value with this one. It's a classic. It's a great movie. But again, there are other comedies that I would say are better. Doesn't matter. This thing will always be near and dear to my heart. I have seen this film more times than any other film ever. Last time I counted, we were well over 250 viewings of this film. We're probably closer to 300 now. And that's not an exaggeration. I adore this film. I could recite it backwards. Number 6, from 1977, Sorcerer, directed by William Friedkin and starring Roy Scheider. This movie came out about a week or two after Star Wars and got destroyed. Critically and box office, it was not a hit. It was a flop. Friedkin damn near lost his mind after this. He basically decided to make something simple after this, and he did the movie The Brinks Job. Years later, this movie has become the classic it was always intended to be. My good friend Sean over at Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim and Movie Assault recently got the 4K of this. He's become obsessed with this movie, and I totally understand why. I've always been obsessed with this movie. I just think it's an incredible, incredible film, and it's got one of the greatest soundtracks ever from Tangerine Dream. Number 6, Sorcerer, which is a remake of The Wages of Fear, which I still have not seen. And it has been remade again as The Wages of Fear on Netflix. Top 5, guys. Number 5, from 1976. This was the first Clint Eastwood movie I ever saw. And I'm talking about The Outlaw Josie Wales. He also directed this film. Co-stars Chief Dan George, Sandra Locke, Bill McKinney, and John Vernon, among others. And this is definitely one of my all-time favorite Clint Eastwood westerns. It's just a great movie. It is eminently rewatchable. You could watch this movie once a week. It never gets old. The performances are fantastic. The dialogue is fantastic. It's just an outstanding western in every way. So, number 5, The Outlaw Josie Wales. Number 4, from 1977 again, Star Wars, directed by George Lucas, and starring Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford, among others. Yeah, this movie totally changed how I looked at movies. Another movie that almost made this list came out the same year, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And again, both movies had a similar impact on me as a 10-year-old. Star Wars showed me what movies could be. Close Encounters showed me what the universe could be. And both of them just totally changed my view as far as movies go. And like I said, it killed me to keep Close Encounters off of this list. But as it is, Star Wars, it's just the ultimate popcorn movie. It just is. I've gotten burned out on Star Wars, but that original trilogy still cannot be beat. And I can watch it anytime and never get bored. Number 3. To me, the greatest horror movie of all time. From 1978, although it was released in the States here in 1979, George Romero's epic masterpiece, Dawn of the Dead. Starring Ken Faree, Scott Reiniger, Galen Ross, and David Emge, among others. Also has an appearance from Tom Savini as the biker. Night of the Living Dead was the first horror movie I ever saw. And it traumatized me as a child, but it definitely made me a horror fan. And then a couple of years after that, Dawn of the Dead was released. It was released unrated here in the States. You had to be 18 to get in. And of course, I was only 11 years old when this movie came out, so I was far from 18. And this movie became the holy grail for me for about 3 years before it finally came out on VHS videotape. And I immediately rented it, and oh my God, it blew my mind. And it still does. Some of the effects still don't hold up as well as they used to. You know, some of the colors of the zombies are a little bit different. You got a green one here, you got a blue one here. Some of the blood is a little bit off. Doesn't matter. This movie is incredible. And not only is it a zombie movie, it's a social commentary about consumerism that still holds up almost 50 years later. To me, like I said, this is the greatest horror movie of all time. The Thing is my favorite, but Dawn of the Dead to me is the GOAT. We are down to it. Number 2. From my Mel Brooks collection, we are going with 1974's classic, Blazing Saddles. And actually, I almost included Young Frankenstein as well. You could flip a coin for either one. They're both fantastic comedies. I know this movie has not aged well. A lot of people don't like this movie. I don't care. I love it. I think it is an absolute hilarious take on racism and how stupid racist people basically are. The most intelligent people in this movie are the two main characters, Cleavon Little, who is an African-American, and Gene Wilder, who is a drunk. Everybody else in the movie is a friggin' idiot, and that's the point. This movie broke so many different barriers when it came out. Richard Pryor was one of the people that was one of the writers on this, and originally was supposed to play the part of Cleavon Little. However, the movie studio would not insure him because they were worried about his drug habits. As it is, Blazing Saddles is one of the greatest comedies of all time, and in my eyes, it is the second best movie of the 70s. But number 1, from my Steven Spielberg collection, we are going with the granddaddy of summer blockbusters, 1975's Jaws, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, and Lorraine Gary, among others. What can you say about this incredible, incredible film? This was the original summer blockbuster, and by that I mean it. People stood around the block waiting to get into this film. This was the time of Hollywood when summer was the dumping ground for movies, for drive-in movies and kids' movies and stuff like that for the drive-in crowd. Jaws totally destroyed that myth, and from this point on, every summer had at least one tentpole studio film that was chasing that Jaws heat. And there have been several since, okay, obviously. Star Wars came out a couple of years after this. Recently, you've got movies along the lines of Avengers Infinity War, Avatar, there have been other films. None had the impact of Jaws. None. People were afraid to go into the water, even at a beach, much less the ocean, okay? And this movie has been duplicated, but never surpassed. One of my favorite subgenres of films are Jaws ripoffs. I've done a video about them, okay? I love Jaws ripoffs. But again, nothing will ever compare to the 1975 masterpiece that is Steven Spielberg's Jaws. And it's my number 1 film from the 70s. So for a quick recap, number 1 is Jaws. Number 2 is Blazing Saddles. Number 3 is Dawn of the Dead. Number 4 is Star Wars. Number 5 is The Outlaw Josie Wales. Number 6 is Sorcerer. Number 7 is National Lampoon's Animal House. Number 8 is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Number 9 is The Boys and Company C. And number 10 is The Warriors. And for some honorable mentions, The Silent Partner, Dirty Harry, Capricorn 1, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, and Alien. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up, a possible subscribe, but most importantly, please leave comments below. Let me know how you feel about these picks of mine. Let me know what yours are. And like I said, I am going to leave links to Jodie's and Sean's and Kenny's channels below, as well as Carlos, Dan, and Jeff, who I am tagging with this video. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next one.